Hello everyone, and welcome to hopefully the first of many Promotional Pmondays, the show where I share a video I enjoyed from smaller content creators' channels, in the hope of spreading more clever, funny or interesting content out there and giving them a boost so they keep doing what they're doing and we get more cool stuff. This week we have Thoggy. He likes to meet people on the net. I think he's pretty amusing, but also makes great points, and is an example that you don't need fancy equipment or even full sentences to make awesome videos. If you enjoy the following, please go give him a sub and tell him to keep up the good work. If you don't like it, perhaps you could give him a little constructive criticism. However you feel, this is about pulling small creators up and giving them a chance at that sweet YouTube infamy. This is all about helping people reach their potential, so show some love. There's a link to his channel in the description. That said, take it away, Thoggy.
I'm Thoggy. After my successful takedown of the nearly viral video's hate speech, I've decided I needed to learn more about intersectionality. And to do that, I have turned to an expert in the field, Kimberly Crenshaw.
I'd like to try something new. Those of you who are able, please stand up.
Hi, Kimberly. I'm standing and ready to learn about intersectionality.
So I'm going to name some names. When you hear a name that you don't recognize, you can't tell me anything about them.
Okay, I got it. Recognize anything about the names. Anything.
I'd like you to take a seat and stay seated. The last person standing, we're going to see what they know.
Oh, fuck. I didn't know there was going to be a pop quiz. I hope I don't embarrass myself.
Eric Garner.
Human.
Mike Brown.
Human again. Definitely human.
Tamir Rice.
Also human.
Freddie Gray.
Human again. Man, I'm fucking killing this.
I'd say half to most of the people are still standing.
Thoggy is still standing.
Michelle Cusseau.
Another human.
Tanisha Anderson.
Human.
Ara Russer.
Human. I'm getting the hang of this.
Megan Hockaday.
Human.
So if we look around again, there are about 4 people still standing.
Yep, still standing. Thoggy's here. Don't see why everybody else sat down. They're all human, right?
And actually, I'm not going to put you on the spot. I just say that to encourage transparency, so you can be seated.
Okay. What was the point of this exercise then?
So those of you who recognize the first group of names know that these were African Americans who've been killed by the police over the last 2.5 years.
Unless, like Thoggy, they're able to identify other characteristics about those names. This is beginning to be a little suspicious. Are you setting me up?
The other list is also African Americans who have been killed within the last 2 years. Only one thing distinguishes the names that you know from the names that you don't know: gender.
No, it isn't. Your demonstration is rigged like a revival preacher's to produce an outcome that you want. So, for example, if you had presented the female names first, would half your audience still remain standing due to virtual signaling or the social pressure of looking bad if they sat down too early? Another way to test for this social pressure of looking like you know what you're doing in front of a bunch of virtuous people is by putting a fake name up front and seeing how many people fail to sit down. You are acting just like a preacher that is telling their flock they are sinners through some rigged demonstration in order to show them the way to salvation.
I've done this exercise dozens of times around the country.
No citations, no nothing, and I bet you've used biased audiences.
I've done it to women's rights organizations. I've done it with civil rights groups. I've done it with professors. I've done it with students. I've done it with psychologists. I've done it with sociologists. I've done it even with progressive members of Congress.
Yep, biased audiences. What would happen if you walked into a Waffle House, did this demonstration, and everybody sat down on the first name?
And everywhere, the awareness of the level of police violence that Black women experience is exceedingly low.
No evidence offered besides your biased demonstration. Brilliant. I now understand that one must use deception tactics dressed up in scientific or modern language in order to convince people of the truth and save them from themselves. Got it. Could we please get on to intersectionality?
Now, communications experts tell us that when facts do not fit with the available frames, people have a difficult time incorporating new facts into their way of thinking.
Conceptual frameworks are not theories, of course, because conceptual frameworks lack a logical reproducible mechanism that two people equally well skilled in the theory can thus produce exactly the same predictions and explanations for observed phenomena. So I bet you're going to present a logical reproducible mechanism to explain intersectionality.
Without frames that allow us to see how social problems impact all the members of a targeted group, many will fall through the cracks of our movements, left to suffer in virtual isolation.
Yes, we'll get rid of bad think with biased demonstrations and pseudoscientific terminology. I'm on board. Get on with it.
Many years ago, I began to use the term intersectionality
Finally.
to deal with the fact that many of our social justice problems, like racism and sexism, are often overlapping, creating multiple levels of social injustice.
Okay, so they sort of pile on each other. Do you have any relationship between those different oppressions? Do they summate? Can they ever negate? Is one more important than the other? Are they multiplicative? What's the fucking relationship?
Now, the experience that gave rise to intersectionality was my chance encounter with a woman named Emma de Graffenried.
I'll skip her brilliantly biased description of de Graffenried versus General Motors, simply to say that it's a 30-year-old case that, on appeal, was rejected on terms of sexism, but the racism charge was allowed to go forth. She was not trying to get a job. She was part of a group of 5 who were suing for the unfair first hired, first fired rule. However, this court case did inspire her to come up with the term intersectionality. I'll put some links to the court cases in the description below.
The real problem, though, that the judge was not willing to acknowledge was what Emma was actually trying to say. That the African Americans that were hired, usually for industrial jobs, maintenance jobs, were all men.
Ignoring the black woman who was working as a janitor in the maintenance department at the time.
And the women that were hired, usually for secretarial or front office work, were all white.
Ignoring the 5 black women who brought the suit who had been working in the secretarial pool for over a year.
Only if the court was able to see how these policies came together would he be able to see the double discrimination that Emma de Graffenried was facing.
A hint of a mechanism. So they double. So oppressions are equal to each other?
But the court refused to allow Emma to put 2 causes of action together to tell her story because he believed that by allowing her to do that, she would be able to have preferential treatment. She'd have an advantage by being able to have 2 swings at the bat.
Yes, the court was worried about opening a Pandora's box of increasingly larger and larger number of claims brought onto the companies for ever finer distinctions of categories such as transgender or left-handedism or fattinism or Hawaiianism.
Why wasn't the real unfairness law's refusal to protect African American women simply because their experiences weren't exactly the same as white women and African American men?
The courts did allow her charges of racism to go forward, just not the sexism charges.
Now, as a student of anti-discrimination law, as a feminist, as an anti-racist,
Thoggy stands against more isms than you do. Now, please explain intersectionality.
a simple analogy to an intersection. The roads to the intersection would be the way that the workforce was structured by race and by gender. And then the traffic in those roads would be the hiring policies and the other practices that ran through those roads.
So this implies intersectionality is a simple layering of oppressions on top of each other.
Now, because Emma was both black and female, she was positioned precisely where those roads overlapped, experiencing the simultaneous impact of the company's gender and race traffic. So, what do you call being impacted by multiple forces and then abandoned to fend for yourself? Intersectionality seemed to do it for me.
Oh, intersectionality is another term for the Oppression Olympics. Got it, got it, got it!
Socially marginalized people all over the world were facing all kinds of dilemmas and challenges as a consequence of intersectionality, intersections of race and gender, of heterosexism, transphobia, xenophobia, ableism.
Post shows, the more oppressions you can identify, the more swings at the bat you can get. Your signpost is missing a few, so like maybe fattyism, and then of course the most important one, Thoggyism, which is the absolute worst. And if you don't subscribe to me, you're obviously a Thoggyist.
All of these social dynamics come together and create challenges that are sometimes quite unique. But in the same way that intersectionality raised our awareness to the way that Black women live their lives, it also exposes the tragic circumstances under which African American women die.
Intersectionality, or the Oppression Olympics, has nothing to do with the deaths of people. Deaths have much to do with crime, police brutality, mistakes, anger, hate, jealousy, and on and on. However, I have learned that intersectionality is another term for Oppression Olympics, to be tossed back in the face of those haters, and that one should use deception to enlighten the unenlightened masses.
It's time for a change. So what can we do?
We can sing!
Say their name.
So that's intersectionality. Essentially, it's a replacement for the haters' use of the term Oppression Olympics. Well, I'm going to go forth and spread righteousness and love across the internet. If you like this, please subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye!
Well, wasn't that great? At the very least, I thought so. And that's all that matters. Me. Anyway, if you would like a chance at being featured in a Promotional Pmonday episode, please send me your best video via the hashtag Promotional Pmonday or through YouTube messaging, although I check Twitter the most. I do have a few creators in mind already, but if I liked your stuff, I'll let you know and we will organise a spot. All said, I can't make any promises I'll like your stuff, but I'm going to endeavour to watch everything you guys send to me. I hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to check out Thoggy's channel and subscribe. I'll catch you all next time. Cheers!